Monday we talked about circles. Today we're talking about ellipses. The standard form for an ellipse is a little bit different than the standard form of a circle. So when we're looking at standard form, it's x minus h squared over a squared plus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. So now you're going to have denominators. Okay? The h and k are still the exact same. They are the center of your ellipse, just like h and k were the center of your circle. When you're completing the square, please make sure that you put your plus signs here. Okay? Put your plus signs in there. Y minus k squared plus x minus h squared over y minus k squared over a squared plus x minus h squared over b squared equals 1. That's your vertical ellipse. So you have like a horizontal ellipse and you have a vertical ellipse. When we're doing ellipses, okay, to know which one it's going to be, a squared is always the bigger number. Okay, so to know if it's horizontal or vertical, a squared is always bigger than b squared. So if your y is over a squared, it's going to be vertical. If your x is over the bigger number, it's going to be horizontal.
Well, you need to repeat that all.
A squared is always larger. Okay, so every time a squared is larger, that is how you're going to decide if your ellipse is horizontal or if your ellipse is vertical.
So that one's vertical.
So this one is a horizontal.
So what's that for? What's a squared?
So if
I'm going to get there this way.
If it's
So, like,
larger, what does that mean?
That just means if x is over the bigger number, it's going to be horizontal. So you're going to use this one. If y is over the bigger number, it's going to be vertical. So then you're going to use these rules.
So bigger number would be between the a squared
And b squared. So if a squared is bigger than b squared, you just have to look, if x is over the bigger number, it's horizontal. If y is over the bigger number, it's vertical. And I'll show you that when we get to examples. Okay? Now when we look at our ellipses, okay?
So it always has to be bigger than.
Yes, a squared is always the bigger number. So it's not going to be a and b. You're going to have like 64 and 36. Okay, 64 would be a squared because a squared is bigger. It always has to be the bigger number.
If x is over a, then it's horizontal. If y is over a, it's vertical.
Yes, right here. X over a.
X.
It's right here. Look right here. You have it wrote down. X over a horizontal. Y over a vertical. Okay, it's wrote right here.
We put c squared.
Oh,
Thank you. It's
yes, thank you. I missed that one. C squared. Now, when we look at an ellipse, okay, these points right here, these are called the foci. Some people call it foci. I usually call it foci. Okay, so it's been pronounced like both ways. I don't know which one is 100% the correct one, which one's not. Okay, so your foci have to lie inside your ellipse. And then we have our horizontal or our major axis and our minor axis. So the major axis is the one that is the farthest across. Okay, so like at the widest point would be your major axis. The minor axis would be the one that is like shorter or more narrow. The other thing I want to add before we start solving our problems is A and B are the distance of your like major and minor axes. So if I have my ellipse right here, okay, so here is my center. Say this is my major axis, this is my minor axis. Those have the distance of like A and B. Does that make sense? So this right here has a distance of A, this has a distance of A. This would be a distance of B, this would be a distance of B. So like to find your endpoint here, we're going to say, okay, if your center is at 2, 3, and I know that A is 5, I'm going to go 2, 3, I'm going to count 5 over to the right and 5 to the left. And if I know my B is 16, my B squared is 16, B is 4, I could count 4 up and 4 down. Remember how we did our circles? The other day we did like 5 up, down, left, and right, correct? Now we're just gonna have different numbers. So we're gonna do A's on the left and right, B's going up and down. Okay, unless it's the other way, if it's vertical, then it's gonna be A's going up and down and B's going left and right. So the distance from the center to the end point of your circle is going to be the distance of A. Does that make sense? That's how A and B are going to come into play right here. C is going to be used to find the foci. Okay, so when we find C to find the foci, that's going to give us the points that lie inside the ellipse. Are you ready to do an example?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Take
This,
it slow.
okay, this first example, the equation is already in standard form, and then we're just going to go through and we're going to pull out all of the
Okay,
information.
where's the my book right now?
Which one am I going to do? I'm doing this one right here. So it's example 3 in your book. I'm going to tell you that the equation is y minus 3 squared over 25 plus x plus 4 squared over 9 equals 1.
Okay, now just pause.
So there's our problem. The first thing, before we even solve anything out, is we're going to identify all of our values.
That's
We're-
25.
Yeah, it's right here is 25.
So it's gonna be horizontal then?
So just wait. Just wait. Okay? First thing, identify your a squared. What is your a squared? A squared is always the bigger number. So
25.
a squared is 25. Okay? Is x over 25 or y over 25?
Y.
Y. So if y is over my a squared, it is going to be what type of an ellipse? It is a vertical ellipse. Okay, so we're going to be looking at this piece of information right now. So right now, I want to identify my center. So my center is at HK. So what value is my H?
3.
No, be careful, because it's the other way around. So H is going to be what?
Negative 4.
Negative 4. K is going to be what?
3.
Huh?
3.
Positive 3. Be careful on that. H is still always with your X. Okay, H always goes with X. K always goes with your Y. Even though they're like switched places, H goes with X, K goes with Y. Okay? Now we're going to label, okay, what is my A value here?
25.
No, A
Five.
squared is 25. So,
Jack, are we gonna be done in time?
yeah.
Okay.
And what is my B value?
3.
3. Okay, so we found A, we found B. Any questions so far? Okay, now let's find C. So C is going to be C squared equals A squared minus B squared, and then we're going to square root it at the end. Okay, so if I do my C squared equals, what's the A squared
5
value?
squared minus 3 squared.
Well, can I do 25 minus 9?
Oh.
Because 5 squared is 25. 3 squared is 9.
Oh.
So C squared equals 16. And then we would square root both sides.
Equals 4.
C equals 4. So now we can find all of our information here. We have our center already. My center is going to be at negative 4, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
So we have to find all of that, like all 6 of them?
Yeah, but sometimes I like to do mine in graphic first. Like when I look at my vertices, okay, so for my major vertices, I know it's a vertical one, right? So that means that I have to count up how many units from my center.
Well, can we just slow down?
5.
Yes. And yes. So all we did, Joe, so right now I plotted my center. And I know it's vertical. Okay, so I know it has to be vertical, so I'm going to count 5 up because that's the biggest number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What point is that going to be at? Negative 4,
8.
8. Okay, so we basically just took 3 and added 5. That's our rule right here. I don't necessarily even look at these points right here. I just look at what are my A value, what's my B value, and then I find my points while I graph it.
So how do you know how much you got?
Because it's my A value, so I went up 5. And now I'm going to go down 5. Okay, so here I'm at 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and what order pair point is that going to be at then? -4, -2? So my major vertices that I just found are -4, 8, and -4, -2. So they have a distance between them of 10. Because I went 5 up and 5 down because my A value is 5. So now for my left and right, for my minor vertices, what am I going to go left and right?
Wait, what do you do with the 10 then?
Nothing. You just see that there's like 10 units in between those points. So you don't have to do anything with 10. Okay, so how many points am I going to go left and right?
3.
3. Okay, so if I count over 3, I'm going to be at -1,
I went over 5.
3. You have to go
I'm so dumb.
up and down 5 over 3. So my first minor vertex is, we said -1, 3. And then I gotta go over 3 more. So 1, 2, 3. So what point is that at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. -7, 3. And then we can connect those points, and there's our graph for our ellipse.
So do we need to find the focus?
Yep, we're gonna find the foci right now. Okay, the foci are going to be inside, and they lie on that major axis. So basically, instead of adding 5, I'm going to add what? 4. Okay, so for my foci,
It's just getting messier and messier as it goes.
okay,
How you,
the foci has to do with our C. Okay, so right here is your foci. If you look over here, it's H, and then you're gonna add and subtract 4 from the 3 values. So basically, instead of going up 5 and down 5, I'm gonna go up 4.
Shaq, you need to move.
I will in just a second.
So why?
And down 4. Because the foci lie right inside the major vertices.
Okay, but like how'd you get where the foci?
Their foci, well, the formula is right here. So it's H, which is -4. And then I'm going to take my 3 and I'm going to add 4, because C is 4. So it's adding C. So 3 plus 4 is, so I have -4, 7.
-4, -1.
Why does it say you're adding the A?
Where am I at right here? I'm adding it to K.
what are we doing?
K is adding and subtracting the C value.
I was looking at major vertices.
The major vertices, you're always going to add the A value because that's your biggest number. And then your minor vertices, you're going to add your B value because that's the smallest number. I like to do, like I said, I don't use a lot of the rules. I just look at what's my A and what's my B, and then I graph it and find my points. For me, it's easier that way to know that I'm going to go up 5, down 5, left 3, right 3, and then I just label what those points are.
Is it H times K?
So is that everything?
Yeah, so what was my point though? -4, -1? So we have our major vertices, our minor vertices, our foci, and we made our graph.
How'd you get the foci or what?
The foci have to do with the C. This is for the foci. So Xavier, if you start here at your center, your foci is 4. So then I just counted up 4, and I counted down 4. Okay, so the foci have to do with your C. So A is the major, up 5, down 5. B is the minor, left and right. And then my foci, I just add 4 and subtract 4.
Boy.
And that gives you your points. It's really not that bad. If you can find A, B, and C, and just look at your graph and know what each one of these are, then it's not too bad. Except for now we gotta complete the square.
What? How do you even complete the square with this?
You complete the square, and then we're gonna do a horizontal one, and then we'll be done.
Stop.
On to the next page.
All right,
Can we do a horizontal one first?
we're gonna complete the square, and it is a horizontal problem that we're gonna graph. So we're gonna complete the square, and then we'll graph it, and it will be horizontal. Okay, now here's the deal. Can I erase all of this because I don't have any more board room?
I don't know
Are you
how.
supposed to write down this one too?
Yeah. Yes.
The value of E?
No, we're not gonna worry about eccentricity. We're not gonna get to that. We'll skip that, and I don't have that on the test, so we don't have to worry about E. Okay, are you ready for completing the square problem?
Where is this one at, Marble?
It's example 4, so it should be the one that's like right next to it. I think you have to flip the page on
Wait,
it.
listen a minute.
Okay, so here's the problem that we're starting with. We have 4x squared plus 9y squared minus 40x plus 36y plus 100 equals 0.
Was that supposed to be a 40 or a 4?
4x squared plus 9y squared minus 40x plus 36y plus 100 equals 0.
Well, you can't take your 4 out. That would mess up.
Well, actually, we're going to, but we have to group them first. Okay, so we're going to group and we're going to put our x's together first. Okay, so we're going to have 4x squared minus 40x. And then I'm going to have my 9y squared plus 36y equals, can I put negative 100?
Shaq, you have your plus thing. Oh, wait. No.
Not yet. Okay, so here's what's different completing the square on an ellipse to completing the square for our circles that we did the other day. We cannot complete the square if the leading coefficient is bigger than 1. So what can I take out of 4x squared and 40?
And then you get x squared minus 10. 10 is
Okay,
5.
just wait, Joss.
5, 30.
Just wait. Okay. Does everybody see how we took the 4 out? What am I going to take out of this one over here? No bigger, it's got to be 9. So we'd have 9 y squared plus 4y was negative 100. Okay, now we're going to complete the square.
25.
What's half of 10?
5.
5 squared?
25.
Okay, here's what's different though. Are you ready for the new part?
No,
No.
you don't have
Okay.
25.
We're going to add 25 times 4. Just wait.
Oh my god.
So we did half, Xavier, half of 10 is 5. 5 squared is
Oh,
25. Okay, now when we go to the other side, okay, you are going to take this number in the front.
That's 100.
Okay, but I'm going to write it as 4
Just hold on.
times 25 right now. I know that it is, but I'm going to write it as 4 times 25. Okay, so you take this number times this number that you add to the back over there. So you're still completing the square, but if you had took a 4 out here, you have to take 4 times that number on the other side.
Now you're at 0.
We'll just wait. We'll simplify that later. Now, we're going to do this side. So what is
2.
half of 4
4.
is 2. 2 squared is?
4.
So we add 4.
That's gonna make 36.
But we're going to add 9 times 4.
36.
So again, you had to take 9 times 4 and add it to the other
Now
side.
can you do your x minus 5?
Yep, so, oops. So I have to leave the 4 in front of it right now.
Why? Didn't you get rid of it already?
No, this 4 is still here.
Why?
Because the 4 would just drop down here.
But
Your
didn't
4
you just times 25 by 4?
because in order to complete the square and make it fair and make the sides even,
Oh.
we had to times it by 4 since this 4 is in front. So we have 4 and then x minus 5 squared
Plus
plus
9
9 and
y plus 2.
squared equals
36.
36. Okay, last thing, what do you notice that the number always has to equal when you're looking at our equations?
1.
1. So what are we going to divide 36 by for 36 to become 1?
36.
36.
do that both sides?
Yep. And that's how we simplify this to find like our A and our B. So 4 divided by 36 is going to give me what? Or what's 36 divided by 4?
1/8,
One more.
1/9.
9, yeah. So we would have x minus 5 squared over 9.
What?
Because we're simplifying 4 over 36. Plus, what is 9, or how many times is 9 going to 36?
4.
4, so then we have y plus 2 squared over 4, and that equals 1.
Cool.
No.
So now we're going to graph it. Can I erase all of this stuff?
Yeah.
Like, if I say this is A, this is B, like, we know where those are coming from now?
Can you like pause it while she's erasing it?
It's fine. I'm just going to erase it. It won't take very long.
I know. Pause it and then restart it. So that way it's not a 50-long-minute clip.
Well, it's already 20 minutes. Okay, here we go. We're going to graph this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I need to label, what is my A value? I left this part up here because can you tell me if it's going to be a like vertical or horizontal ellipse?
It's
Vertical.
vertical.
No, a horizontal.
Yes, this is horizontal. So you should still have your pictures in your notes. This is going to be horizontal because A is 9, or A squared is 9, and X is over the bigger number, right? So I know it's going to be horizontal, and my A value is going to be what? 3. My B value is going to be 2. What is my center?
So we need C.
Yeah, I'm going to get there next. First, I want my center.
5 and negative 2.
5, negative 2. Now we're going to find our C. So 9
This is my
minus 4 is what? Okay,
Should
C
B
squared.
and A be squared too?
Well, this is 3 squared
Oh.
minus 2 squared. Or I just always say, okay, you're taking whatever your A squared value is, which is 9, minus my B squared value, which is 4. And then we're going to do what with this to find C? Square root it. So C, will you tell me what this is as a decimal? Because I want it,
2.2.
huh?
2.2.
2.2. All right, now we can graph. We have all of our information that we need. So 5, negative 2 is our center. That's where we start. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Is there
5.
going to be a lot of those completing the squares?
I won't give you too many. However, we do need to practice them because your homework question on Friday, or ones that you guys will have to make up, is going to be one of this. So you're going to have to completely complete the square down, and then divide, get your standard
If we have,
forms.
I was gonna say, if we have time, can we just do that like
Mhm.
in the same class?
Yep.
I don't have time, so I'll probably just do it tomorrow.
Yes. Okay, are we good finding the center? 5, 2.
Are we gonna be able to do the same thing we did?
No, your assignment will be graded. Okay, good with 5, negative 2. Now A, okay, I know this is horizontal, so this time my A is going to go horizontally. What is my A value?
3.
So I know I have to go 3 to the right, which puts me at what point? This would be 8, negative 2. And then I have to go 3 to the left, which would put me at 2, negative 2?
Yep.
Okay, so there's my major vertices. Now I do my minor, so my B value is what?
Wait, what means
Okay, let's do your
label.
major stuff. Write that down.
Oh, I'll write it down. So my major points are now 8, negative 2, and 2, negative 2. Because we took 5, and we added 3, and then subtracted 3.
Okay, now let's do minor.
Minor is 2. Okay, so I'm going to go up 2, which would put me right at 5, 0.
Yeah.
And I got to go down 2, which puts me at 5, negative 2. So my minor,
No.
4.
oh, sorry, 5,
No.
negative 4.
No. Right. Yeah.
So 5, 0, and 5, negative 4. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's our ellipse. This almost looks more like a circle because A and B are pretty close to the same numbers. The last thing we have to do is the foci. So I need to go 2.2 from the center, left and right. So 2.2, which how do you know? You always go with the major. So if your ellipse is horizontal, you go left and right with your foci for C. If it's vertical, you're going to go up and down. So C always goes the same direction as A. Otherwise, if you look at this, Mariah, I want to point something out. If I did 2.2 up here, my foci would be outside of the ellipse. Your foci has to go inside of the ellipse, so you always have to go the direction of the major axis. So if we count 2.2 over, it'll be about right here. And then 2.2 will be about right here. So my foci would be at 7.2 negative 2. And 5 minus 2.2 would be like 3.8. Oh no, 2.8. Negative 2. So that one problem took up 3/4 of the whiteboard. It takes time, but it's not hard.
Are we done?
Yeah, so you can go stop your thing. I won't. Do you guys have any questions on anything?
No, I need a minute.